An historic meeting between the Prime Minister and China's President will take place tonight as optimism grows that the remaining trade sanctions on Australia will be dropped. Live to Political Editor Andrew Clennell. He's in Shanghai for us. Andrew, great to see you. Great city. Andrew, Anthony Albanese has had a bit to say about this. I guess he wants to be a little bit cautious going into this meeting, but aren't these things kind of worked out beforehand anyway?
Yeah, I think that's right. He is being extremely cautious though, Laura, as you point out, and we'll have another press conference from him in about 3 hours' time. But, for instance, on the CPTPP trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Pact, Premier Qiang, he gave a speech suggesting that China should be readmitted. Anthony Albanese didn't want to say yesterday that Australia would oppose that, but as I understand it, Australia hasn't changed its position. But he doesn't want to flag such things before this meeting this evening with President Xi, which will occur at about 5 p.m. Sydney time. So this evening all gets the opening remarks. It won't be televised. There are a lot of restrictions, including on where we can film here. So we won't know until tomorrow morning when Anthony Albanese speaks what they actually discussed. But I was there in Bali for the last bilateral meeting a year ago between Xi Jinping and Anthony Albanese, and the opening remarks laid out a fair bit, including Australia's concerns with some of the practices of China. So I'd expect that to occur again. The PM keeps saying disagree where we must, cooperate where we can. It's hard to divorce this trip from the trip made 2 weeks ago by the Prime Minister. He went to the US first. That was quite deliberate, as I understand it. He got the US's feedback on China. Joe Biden kept raising Xi Jinping in front of the media and his discussions with him. It was almost like he was saying to Anthony Albanese, don't two-time me, and I don't think Anthony Albanese will be doing that. However, he sees dialogue as a good thing. He says here, he said in answer to a question from me yesterday that he won't be acting as an intermediary on behalf of the US, but I'm sure there is some feedback from the US that will be fed into his approach at this meeting this evening.
Prime Minister, do you see an opportunity on this trip to act as something of a facilitator or a bridge between the US and China? You've just met the US President, you're about to meet the Chinese President. Do you see, apart from representing Australia's national interest, an opportunity to thaw the relations between those two superpowers?
We think improved relations between the United States and China are a good thing. It is good that Secretary Blinken has visited here. It's good that you're having ministerial level dialogue. It's a good thing that President Xi will travel to APEC. We, though, importantly have a relationship with China, have a relationship with the United States. It's important that they talk to each other, and I don't think that they need an intermediary to do so. The important thing about Australia's relationship, and something that my government has brought to our international relations, is we say the same thing to the same people in a consistent way. That's how you develop trust.
So it'll be difficult to get an answer out of a lot of questions this morning with the PM, because he showed here on the Trans-Pacific Trade Pact, he just didn't want to come at the question. He didn't want to say, no, China doesn't qualify for this at the moment before he meets President Xi. That seems pretty logical to me. I mean, why would you want to annoy the host even before the meeting? This is the PM avoiding the question yesterday.
The way that I deal with things is to have meetings with people. When we have meetings, not to foreshadow in press conferences what will happen in those meetings. The way that you deal and the way that we've improved relations with countries is by having respectful relations with them and respectful discussions with them.
Well, when I spoke to Don Farrell, the Trade Minister in Shanghai, he was a bit more open about what he expects out of this visit. He believes because of this first Prime Ministerial visit by an Australian leader in 7 years, the remaining trade sanctions against Australia on lobster and beef will be lifted.
It was $20 billion worth of impediments. With the recent announcement in respect of wine, that's down to $1 billion. We're hopeful that as a result of this visit that we can get that down to zero and that the remaining impediments, lobster and beef, will be removed.
So an air of anticipation here in Beijing, Laura, ahead of this second bilateral between these two leaders, the first in China with an Australian Prime Minister for 7 years. And I've got to say, in Beijing at the moment, it's making Canberra feel warm.
Yeah, right. I thought you were in Shanghai, but yes, good clarification there. I did note the gloves, Andrew. Stay warm. We'll check in with you soon.